able to expand the school down there because they are doing so wonderfully. And I just want to say thank you to all of you who have given to that project. Also those of you who are sponsoring kids. We have more kids sponsored than we have ever had before, I believe, which means that these kids have a chance in life. You know what? They're learning about Jesus, but they're also learning educational skills that might help them to crawl out of the poverty that they now live in. And I just want to thank you all for that. And what we do at this time in the service, once a month, at the first Sunday of every month, we take up a second offering. This offering goes to help that school down in the Dominican Republic. It also goes to help a work down in Guatemala. It's helping a drug program up in New Haven, Connecticut, and also helping with a Bible college over in London that is sending missionaries pretty much out all over the world. So we're just going to take up a second offering right now. If you weren't prepared for it, if you are a guest, again, I say just pass a bucket. Please buy. Those who are regulars are used to that. Heavenly Father, we just ask now that you just take this offering and you'd continue to use it. I thank you for the willing hearts in this room, and just help us to be the most generous people on earth at all times. In your name, amen. Okay, so as you guys have all worked out, Dad is not here. Dad, also known as Roger, it gets confusing. Okay, he is actually in Scotland today. My guess is right now he's watching me on that camera, so I better make sure I behave myself, okay? Hi, Dad. Okay, so the great part about Facebook Live is I know he's watching. Today, our speaker has become one of my favorite people. He is not only somebody who is unbelievable with the teens, it's a complete gift, but he's a joy to work with because I get to do it most days of the week, and I love him to pieces. So can you please give a big welcome to Domingo?
All right, get out of here. Hello. That's not. Between that video and that welcome, I'm just going to be bawling right in the beginning. You guys are going to watch me cry for 20 minutes. That'll be great. Yo, hey, I'm Domingo. Hi. Probably understand that already. So I'm so excited to be able to talk with you guys. If anything I've learned in my life, and I've learned from Roger, really, people don't like to be preached at. I don't like to be preached at. I'm sure you don't like to be preached at. But I love to talk. My mom is nodding in the back somewhere saying, yes, he does. Yeah, teens know that too. And this series, I was so excited to begin with before I ever knew I was going to talk about it, because I love this church, man. I love you people. All right, end of message. Good night. No, imagine having, I nailed it. All right, so, oh no, Roger switched me. Anyway, in this house, first week we did in this house, we do real, which I loved, man, because one thing this church is, to an extreme point, real. We are some real people. I love that so much. In this house, we do mistakes, right? And I do a lot of mistakes. And in this house, we do second chances. I was so excited to be able to do this because, man, if anything I've learned from God, He loves to give second chances. He loves to take the things in life that are a little messed up and a little dirty and make them clean and beautiful. So when I think of this church, this is an easy one. When Roger told me this topic, I'm like, awesome, I'll be able to do this one, because every single time I walk into this church, I am reminded, not just of my own life, but by so many of your lives, that in this house, we really do second chances. And I think we do them well. So, stop, we're going to clap and get my head big. Stop it. All right. So let's do this. Let's jump right into it. If my touch thing will work. First thing is this. The Bible is this incredible book, right? It is God's word breathed into pen and paper. And it has so many stories in it that are layered and so powerful and mean so much. But if you really look at the Bible, and more importantly, look at every single person in the Bible is a second chance person. Like, there's not one in the Bible that is perfect. Not one. It's only one. But he happened to be a little bit of God, too. The people that God is interacting with in the Bible, these are all people who needed second chances. So pretty simple, the Bible gives us this idea and this fact of life that second chances don't start without first making a mistake. Now, nobody wants to make a billion mistakes in life. That's not fun. That's not what we're looking forward to. But the reality is this, you can't get a second chance. I cannot get a second chance unless I make a mistake. But the Bible's beautiful because the Bible paints out this picture of people messing up, people who make mistakes, and God bringing so much beauty and goodness out of it. So let's go to the Bible, right? So let's go to John chapter 8, and we're going to read a story that's really, really special to me. It's a story that means the world to me, and it truthfully is a story that I identify most with in the Bible. It's always hit home with me. And it's the woman, a lot of you know, the woman who was caught in adultery. It's an incredible story, so let's read it. At dawn, this is Jesus, he appeared again in the temple courts where all the people gathered around him, and he sat down to teach them. The teachers of the law and the Pharisees brought in a woman caught in adultery. They made her stand before the group and said to Jesus, "Teacher, this woman was caught in the act of adultery. In the law, Moses commanded us to stone such a woman. Now, what do you say?" They were using this question as a trap in order to have a basis for accusing him. But Jesus bent down and started to write on the ground with his finger. Whew, okay, a lot there. So just to reiterate the scene here, Jesus is in the temples teaching like he often was. And people would just come to see him and come to listen to this man. They hear about Jesus, he's teaching. And this is a crazy scenario here. And it's so funny with the Bible. We'll read the Bible, and sometimes we just kind of go right through it. Like, back in school in our textbooks or whatever. But look at this situation, how crazy it is. This woman was caught in adultery, is brought in, and the Pharisees are using her. The Bible uses the word, it's a trap, right? And how is it a trap? See, this is the thing. They were completely right. The law of Moses commanded you be stoned. It did. But they were living under Roman rule. And Roman rule would not permit any stonings for such a reason, any kind of executions. So this is where Jesus was in a trap. If Jesus says, yes, stone the woman, he's going to get tried by the Roman law. He's going to get arrested. But if he says, do not stone the woman, he's going against Mosaic law, the foundation of what the Hebrew people believe, the foundation of the very temple he's teaching in, what it stands upon. But man, Jesus is the dopest. You can't make Jesus stressed. You can't do it. We try it so much, and we think like God's like us, and a little tiny bit maybe, but really not. And Jesus does this crazy thing. He bends down, and he starts writing on the ground. Oh, this is going to get good. All right, so just to back up what I was saying, in Leviticus, my favorite book, Leviticus. No, it's not. It's no one's favorite book. If someone tells you their favorite book is Leviticus, run, because they're about to stop making you eat shellfish and throw stones. It's going to get weird. And this is what Leviticus says. They were saying truth. The Pharisees, what they were saying was not a lie. If a man commits adultery with another man's wife, with the wife of his neighbor, both the adulterer and the adulteress are to be put to death. Yikes. That's heavy. And let me tell you, I'm not telling you not to read a part of the Bible, but this whole chapter is about don't do adultery or you're going to die. It's really heavy, but it's true. They're not making it up. So how is Jesus going to respond? How is sweet, beautiful Jesus going to respond to what they're presenting to him, the truth? I want to point out something here, and this is something I've learned the hard way. But what the religious people were doing is what religious people do. And this is the problem. Religious people, they use, but second chance people love. Hear that again. Religious people, what they want to do is they want to use God's law and the truth of God to push people down, right? But second chance people who really know Jesus, they want to lift up others. So even though what they were saying was true, right? It was completely taken out of context and used to hurt Jesus. The woman they weren't even caring about, which is crazy. We're going to touch on that more. But this poor woman, it's not even consideration to them. They're using her to get to Jesus. Think about that again. These are the religious scholars of the time, the teachers, the highest of the high. They had the first 4 books in the Old Testament memorized. But religious people use the second chance people love. Let's continue on. We'll go into John 8, and we're going to see how Jesus reacts now. So he's down on the ground. He's writing, right? And they're like, what's he doing? This is weird. He's writing in the dirt. All right, Jesus, what are you going to say now? And this is what Jesus does. When they kept questioning him, he straightened up and said to them, let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her. Again, he stooped down and wrote on the ground. At this, those who heard began to go away one at a time. The Pharisees started walking away. The older ones first, until only Jesus was left with the woman, still standing there. This scene is incredible. It's so powerful because these people who at this moment are kind of bloodthirsty, right? There's this mob of people. The Pharisees, we want to, it's easy to say Pharisees are the worst, right? It's easy for me to bash them up here. But if I'm being real, we all got a little of that in us, right? We all want to be a little judgmental, right? We all want to say things, right? And the problem with that is that God has so much the opposite for us. Religious people, what happens to religious people is they forget something very important. Religious people will forget the second chance that God gave them. You can never forget the second chance that God gave you. Don't you ever forget that. Because the moment you forget that is the moment we fall into religion. Because what is religion? It's a safety net. It's a man-made thing. It's a thing that lets us feel like we're okay. If I do this rule, I'm good. If I get my daily quota of doing good works, I'm good. And then this dude, Jesus, comes through, and he just flips it upside down. So this woman who was caught in adultery, so she did something wrong, right? Wait, he's on her side? He's supposed to be on our side. Because again, the Pharisees forgot the key. The Bible says many things about God. But the Bible literally says, boom, 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 word for word, God is love. End of story. Now we could talk about how you interpret that, but in the depths of us, we know what real love is. Unconditional love, sacrificial love, a love that raises you up, a love that cleans you up. And that's the kind of love that those people had long forgot. So let's finish this story, and I want to go on. In John 8, 10 through 11, Jesus straightened up and asked him, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" "No one, sir," she said. "Then neither do I condemn you," Jesus declared. "Go now and leave your life of sin." There's so much there, right? There's so much there. But this is the thing, man, with second chance people, and I've learned this by trial and error often, all error mainly, a couple second chance people receive their second chance. Now this woman, let's focus on the woman now. We talked about the religious people. This woman had every reason to be completely ashamed. I don't want to paint it out too descriptive, but let's be real here. She was caught in the act of adultery. This poor woman was dragged out of whatever situation she was. Who knows? She might have been barely clothed, beaten, dirty, covered with a cloth, maybe. Brought into a public space before Jesus and before all of them. Can you imagine the guilt or shame? And she got caught, right? Because she did do something wrong. We all get that. But this is the thing. Those voices in her head that we all listen to sometimes that tell us you're not good enough. You don't deserve God's grace. You don't deserve God's love. We don't deserve anything. God gives us this love. He gives us his grace. So in that moment when she's down and Jesus says, "Where are your accusers? Where are they?" And she's like, "They're gone." And the funny thing about that was the only one who could accuse her was Jesus. And what does he say? "I don't accuse you." A translation in the Bible, when he says, "Go and sin no more," another one that says, you don't got to live that life of sin anymore. You're free. You're free. Yo, Jesus is the illest, bro. Like, what? Are you kidding me? Do you see this situation? We read these stories in the Bible, and we're like, this is great. Oh, yeah. What? He lifts her up. And there's a couple different Marys in the Bible, a couple different women in the Bible. But don't forget this. At that cross, when Jesus went, there was way more women with him than men. And it was a woman like this. It was Mary, his mother. It was the other Mary who delivered from demons. Because when something happens, right, when Jesus gets a hold of you and loves you and starts changing you, you don't want to be anywhere else. You just want to be by him. You just want to be near him at all times. And even though religious people, what they do, they walked away. I guarantee you that woman plugged to him to the very end that they thought was the end. That wasn't the end. And then some. All right, story time. So I am going to be 30 this year. I'm very excited about that because more importantly, I'm going to be married this year. Yeah. I was a pretty good kid. Right, Mom? I was a pretty good kid. Yeah, you should give me a nod. All right, Mom said yes. But, I was a kid, so I did a lot of dumb things. I don't know why I'm saying I'm a kid. I'm an adult, and I still do dumb things. So anyway, blurted that one. Yeah, amen. Really, you roasting me? I need it. Jason's in here. I need someone to roast me. So I remember being a kid, and one day I remember me and my mom were talking. I don't even know why, but I was like, I want to go to Catholic school. I want to go to Catholic school, Ma. And, I do remember that time having a hard time in public school, and my mama, she's so patient with me, and she just helped me through. And I was young. I was a little guy, 6th grade, and I go to Catholic school, thinking, I'll do better there. I won't be as, I talked a lot, again, obviously. I had some issues in school. So I go to private school. But a problem happened. Around 6th, 7th grade, I discovered something. They're called girls. Oh, it was bad, yo, girls. I discovered I really like girls. They're really pretty and nice, and they smell better than my weird friend who never takes a shower over there, Bobby. Yeah, he don't smell too good. And so I like girls, and that's what I'm going to tell you. So, what is going? So anyway, there was this one girl I met. I remember she was my first girlfriend. Her name for this story will be Brenda, and yo, she was so pretty. She was so pretty. I don't know what she was doing talking to me, but clearly, as you see by my life, I'm about a beautiful future bride. I really overshoot, man. God is really good to me. So anyway, Brenda is, there's something to Brenda, though, and I remember that. We only dated for like a month, which in like 6th grade is like 20 years. And then so after that, you know, I did like any normal 6th, 7th, 8th grade boy does, because I still liked her and we broke up. I made fun of her, because that's what you do to pretty girls when you're little. And older, some of you. You make fun of that. You make fun of. And over time, she eventually left the school. And I remember even then we had a connection. Years go by, and I start hearing things about Brenda. She's not doing too good. Her dad dies, and I reached out to her. We would talk a little bit. Then I hear Brenda, she had a kid. Then I hear Brenda had another kid. And by the time Brenda's 16, she got no father, and she got 2 kids. Dads aren't around, nothing. And we would talk every now and then. And I just remember always having this connection with her. But I didn't know at the time it was God working. But I was soon to find out. So go back a little bit to the religious people. Yeah, I was one of them. I was that. When I first found God, I found it much easier again to understand the rules than to just accept God's love. Because I got issues, like we all do. So fast forward, and we go through years. I'm doing youth group. I look like doing good stuff. But my insides weren't right. I didn't feel right. I didn't feel God's love. I didn't know God's love the way that I felt like I was talking about it. Meanwhile, I'm keeping tabs with this girl, Brenda. Brenda reaches out to me one day and sends me a Facebook message. We probably didn't talk for like years. And it is this beautiful message that I will never forget. I have it saved in my phone. And she just told me, she's like, hey, Domingo, you know, I've been thinking about you, and I just hope you're doing good. I see the stuff you're doing with the youth group. It's such good stuff. I'm really proud of you. I wanted to reach out to you because, you know, I don't know, my life has been really hard, like you know. I lost my dad. I had a couple kids by guys who I shouldn't have. And it's been really hard. And recently, I actually got addicted to heroin. But something funny happened. I've been sober for 14 months, and I got saved. I found a church. I was in a church one day, and the priest came up to me. And I don't know what happened that day, but it changed me. And I just want you to know that part of my recovery is being open to people. And I chose you to talk, I chose you to tell that very serious thing. Yo, it meant the world to me. Because little does she know, even though on the exterior, right, she looks like a mess. And I'm the one doing youth group stuff, so I look good, right? I'm doing stuff in the church. I look like fine. Meanwhile, my insides are all twisted up. It's funny how that works, right? That's why God looks at the heart. Because even though on the exterior you see this girl who's coming from a broken home, loses her father, going through all this, addicted to heroin, God healed her, you'd say, oh, that girl's a problem. And then you'll see me up here with a mic talking about Jesus. Oh, he must have it all together. No. In that moment, in the same way that we see the religious people with the stones, and then we see the woman caught in adultery, I was caught in that end. And that changed me, man. It changed me to see a young woman go through this pain and suffering, and still come out the other side stronger, more whole than the people like me who pretend we're whole. It changed me in such a deep way. And Brenda, her impact on me, I'll never forget. Because again, just like the woman could have let her guilt and shame separate her from God, she didn't, because Brenda was a second chance person. She understood that second chance people, Christians, if you're a Christian, you're a second chance person, plain and simple. You can't not be. And that is the God we believe in, the God, the gifter of second chances. And more importantly, she received her second chance. Listen to me. Receive your second chance. Don't fight it. Receive it. So let's go back to the Bible. We're going to read now I want to say something else. You can receive your second chance, but a really key thing here is to live your second chance. I received a second chance. When I first got saved, the problem was I really wasn't allowing God to just love on me, right? Like, just love me. And Brenda got that. Because you can have a second chance, but not live your second chance, right? It's like anything. Use it, own it, be it. I love that she was so real with me in that story. I love that she trusted me enough to tell me that, because that's what changed me. God used Brenda in my life in a time when, like, guys, things were really dark. Like, I should not be up here. And if it wasn't for that beautiful, powerful young woman telling me that all the things she's been through and how God's brought her through, I'd still be religious. I'd still be a hot mess. Because second chance people really change. Because second chance people are real. Be you, all right? Be you. God created you. He knows what he's doing. You don't got to fake it. You don't got to pretend it. If God knows everything anyway, why are we so busy trying to pretend we're these things that we're not? Right? He sees everything. Second chance people are real. All right, let's continue on. We're going to go back in the Bible now into Matthew, chapter 18, verses 22 through 35. You got that, Chris? Now, Peter's, being Peter. Everyone knows Peter the Bible, a little hard-headed. I like Peter because he reminds me of me a little bit. And he's always like, the first to talk up, the first to speak, the first to say things. And he was asking Jesus questions. He said, Jesus, how many times am I supposed to forgive my brother? 7 times? Peter, like he often was, not even close. Jesus answers, I tell you, not 7 times, but 77 times. Therefore, the kingdom of heaven is like a king who wanted to settle accounts with his servants. As he began the settlement, a man who owed him the 1,000 bags of gold was brought to him. Since he was not able to pay, the master ordered that he and his wife and his children and all that had be sold to repay the debt. At this, the servant fell on his knees before him. Be patient with me, he begged, and I will pay back everything. The servant's master took pity on him, canceled the debt, and let him go. But when the servant went out, he found one of the fellow servants who owed him 100 silver coins. He grabbed him and began to choke him. Pay back what you owe me, he demanded. His fellow servant fell to his knees and begged him, be patient with me and I will pay you back. But he refused. Instead, he went off, had the man thrown into prison until he could pay the debt. When the other servants saw what had happened, they were outraged and went and told their master everything that had happened. Then the master called the servant in. You wicked servant, he said, I cancel all the debts of yours because you begged me to. Shouldn't you have had mercy on your fellow servant just as I had on you? In anger, his master handed him over to the jailers to be tortured until he should pay back all he owed. This is how my heavenly Father will treat each of you unless you forgive your brother or sister from the heart. Ooh-wee. That's some stuff right there. Oh, Casey hates when I say ooh-wee. Sorry, Casey. It's just a natural reaction. Now, I want to point something out here. This is specifically about forgiveness, right? It's about forgiving people. And I always want to say this, and Roger said it, but it's so important. Forgiveness sometimes has nothing to do with the other person, okay? Forgiveness does not mean if you have someone in your life who is toxic, who is hurting you, who is not good for you, you can forgive them and not be like, oh, here's my heart again, tear it up. No. Cool? That makes sense? All right, we continue on. But forgiveness is key. It is key as a Christian, right? That's everything. To forgive is to be godly. To forgive is what Jesus did on that cross, right? So we have to forgive. And not just 777 times. And second chance. People give second chances. And you cannot give someone a second chance without forgiving, right? Pretty simple. Now, I'm really learning, about second chances from Casey. Really, really learning about, because she gives me a lot of them to the point where I don't even know there's a numerical order anymore. It's like 129th times a million chance. But Casey, and being in love and being in a relationship, we get this idea as a kid. It's all going to be, woo, smooth sailing, great. No. You're going to mess up, right? You're going to hurt each other a lot. Hopefully more by just being dumb than not on purpose. And I do a lot of that. And God has used Casey so much in my life because no matter what I do, no matter how much stupid I am, no matter how selfish I can be in the moment, even last night, Casey, she always forgives me. Can I be real? Is that loud? Sorry, I'm trying to be real here. That's why. Second chance people give second chances. If you're going to live a second chance, it doesn't work if you don't give second chances. And I know it's hard. Like, we get hurt, man. Life is rough. It's a battle sometimes. You get scars and wounds as the time goes on. But hear me. It's that classic redundant saying we always hear, but it's so true. Don't keep that poison for yourself. Unforgiveness is a poison that you're drinking that's not affecting anyone else. So when you get the opportunity, give a second chance. Again, because second chance people give second chances. Let's go back in the Word real quick. I think it's in Ephesians chapter 4, verses 31 through 32. It says, get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as Christ has forgave you. it's funny, like I've worked with teens now for almost a decade. I've worked with teens since I was pretty much a teen. I got saved in the church, and then around 19, 20, I started helping with youth group, and I loved it right away. I fell in love with it because the cool thing about teenagers, and the hard thing about teenagers is that they're real. Teenagers, they'll tell you how they feel. And sometimes you want to be like, all right, shut up. It's enough. But they don't. But they're amazing. They're amazing. I love my teens. And when I first did, I got to meet some incredible young people, a lot of them at this church. And there's one, I remember one student a couple years ago, and I got really close to him, and he would always talk about how much he loves his dad. But I didn't really know much more about his dad. He just would always talk about his dad. As I got to know him more, he'd always talk about his dad, and he's like, I love my dad, but I don't really get to see him much. I'm like, oh, that's a bummer. And he just opened up to his relationship. His dad struggled with a lot of things. His dad wasn't around much. And there was probably like a good 6-month stretch where his dad would just cancel on him. And he would tell me every week, he'd be like, oh, I'm so excited. I'm going to see my dad this weekend. I'm like, great. And then I'd see him Sunday at church or see him Monday at Bible study. Yeah, my dad ended up backing out. And time after time, I watched this young man's heart get broken. And it was killing me. And all I could think, man, if I ever see this guy, yo, I'm going to slap him in the neck. No, I'm not going to do that. I've never gotten in a fight my whole life, as you could probably tell. And I never will now. Past that point. But I'm thinking, I'm so mad. I want to, wring this guy's neck. How can you do this to this young boy? He has such a good heart. He just wants to see his daddy, yo. What the heck? Don't worry, church didn't fall down. And then something really weird happened. I was in college courses last year, and we had to do, for one of our classes, what we had to do was we had to go into a group setting and do some kind of observation. They do it in a lot of college courses. So I had to do that. Now, easy thing is I could do church, obviously. I'm always here. But I'm like, I want to do something hard. At the time, I was reading this book called Infinite Jest. And it's by this author, David Foster Wallace, who I love. This guy's writing is he's amazing. Yeah, some people know what that means. It's that good. Yeah, you can't even say words. And in the book, he depicts this story. A lot of it's actually in AA. The actual narrative is in AA. And reading it, it was amazing, the dialogue and stuff like that. And I've known many people who have gone through AA, and they're incredible people. And the one thing I always loved about AA people, man, there's some good public speakers. Incredible. Some of the best public speaking you will see is in an AA meeting. I mean that. It's amazing. So I wanted to sit in an AA meeting. So I decided, I Googled what meetings you can. There's certain you can, certain you can't. And I just randomly Googled and found this meeting to go to. Random. So I cannot stress how random this is. It was on a Tuesday night. I go to this meeting, and I'm sitting in, and I introduce myself. I'm like, hey, I'm here for this. And everyone's so cool with me. And again, great speaking. Just these guys talking of these stories. Some of them, they might be a little twisted. It's all right, though. They're in the right place. I appreciated that. I said, good. That's why you're here, homie. I like that. I love that realness. And then this one guy talks. And it's when it's God in your heart, and God's like, oh, something's about to happen. And whoo, something's about to happen. Or a heart attack, right? One of the two. It's Domingo, get that checked. That's not good. So at the end of the meeting, this guy comes up to me. And he says, Domingo. I'm like, oh, hi. And he's like, he was the student's dad. And he says to me, Domingo, I just want to thank you because you have loved my son and been so good to my son. And in those moments, remember I talked about slapping in the neck? I could have slapped him in the neck, and I would have written a really bad story to tell. But God is crazy, man. God is so good. In that moment, I felt none of that anger. In that moment, I felt none of that malice. All the feelings of frustration for my student, all the frustrations for him, wasn't there. I looked him in the eyes and I said to him, man, your son loves you so much. That's all. And it was from God. And he looked at me and he teared up. And I said, I just want you to know that. I'm blessed to be a part of your son's life, but he loves you so much. I could have reacted in so many ways there, right? And some of them would have been justified. But that's not the way God reacts. And I thank God in that moment I didn't react how Domingo wanted to react. Let me just finish this part of the story up. This is even crazy how good God is. All of a sudden, a couple weeks later, my student tells me he got to see his dad. And he said it was awesome. And he said it was so good. Another week later, he saw him again and again. And then his dad's doing really good, and his dad met a really good lady, and he's going on trips with him. And it's not because of me. It's because of God, because God was working so many other things going on in there. But I know in that moment that I had a choice to remember the second chance God gave me and to be a giver of second chances, or to judge him and to hurt him. And I thank God that I didn't do that. Because to hear, and to this day, that student still sees his dad. To this day, that student gets to be loved by his father. And he'll never get that time back. But because God was able to use me in that moment to breathe a second chance, and whatever little bit it helped, to be able to see the fruit of that, man, that's what we're supposed to be, right? Love on people, that's it. Second chance people live forgiveness. It's easy to forgive, right? To say we're going to forgive, but we got to live forgiveness. And I'm so grateful because there's many moments, I can tell you a bunch of stories where they don't end that good, where Domingo didn't live forgiveness. But I'm very grateful for that story. Not because of me, whatever, but because I get to see that student. I get to hear about the stories about him hanging out with his dad, going on trips with his dad. And listen, life is not perfect, right? It can go one way or other. But God knows that when God gets a hold of anyone in whatever situation they're in and gives that person that second chance, they hold on to it, watch that person soar. So second chance people live forgiveness. Now, one more story. Let's finish up in the Bible because it's the best. In Luke chapter 7, we're going to start out in 36. When one of the Pharisees invited Jesus to have dinner with him, he went to the Pharisee's house and reclined at the table. A woman in that town who lived a sinful life learned that Jesus was eating at the Pharisee's house. So she came there with an alabaster jar of perfume. As she stood behind him at his feet weeping, she began to wet his feet with her tears. Then she wiped them with her hair, kissed them, and poured perfume on them. When the Pharisees who had invited him saw this, he said to himself, "If this man were a prophet, he would know who is touching him and what kind of woman she is, that she is a sinner." Jesus answered him, because Jesus hears everything, hello. Pharisees got. He's like, "Dummy, I know your thoughts." So Jesus answered him, "Simon, I have something to tell you." He's talking to Simon off the side, being cool. "Tell me, teacher," he said. Two people owed money to a certain moneylender. Sounds familiar, right? One owed him 500 denarii and the other 50. Neither of them had the money to pay him back, so he forgave the debts of both. Now, which of them will forgive them more? Simon replied, "I suppose the one who had the bigger debt." So who will forgive them more? Which one is going to forgive them more? Jesus is asking Peter. He's seeing what Peter thinks. "I suppose the one who had the bigger debt forgiven." Jesus says, "You have judged correctly." Then he turned toward the woman and said to Simon, "Do you see this woman? I came into your house. You did not give me any water for my feet, but she wet my feet with her tears and wiped them with her hair. You did not give me a kiss, but this woman from the time I entered has not stopped kissing my feet. You did not put oil on my head, but she had poured perfume on my feet. Therefore I tell you, her many sins have been forgiven, as her great love has shown. But whoever has been forgiven little loves little." Ooh. Then Jesus said to her, "Your sins are forgiven." It's beautiful, man. The other guests began to say among themselves, "Who is this who even forgives sins?" Jesus said to the woman, "Your faith has saved you. Go in peace." Second chance people love a lot. Like Jesus said, right? You're forgiven a lot, you're going to love a lot. You're forgiven a little, you're going to love a little. And again, I don't know about you, but I got issues with my worth sometimes, I don't think. Now, Jesus isn't saying some people need less forgiveness. He's saying some people think they need less forgiveness. There's a difference. If we don't understand the forgiveness God has given us, it is directly linked to love. Directly. There's no way of cutting it off. To love and forgive, they go hand in hand, palm in palm. You have to. There's no way around it. We've seen that with Jesus, right? To the cross and beyond. Second chance people love a lot. So some of you guys know, and all of my teens are going to groan because I tell them every week, I went to China. I spent some time in China. Groans, there they are. Yeah, I know you're sick of hearing it. I did missionary work in China about 5 or 6 years ago, and a lot of it is because of this church. Now, how did I end up there, right? The reason I went to missionary school, I didn't really know what I wanted to do for the most part in life, just sort of getting it now at almost 30. And I remember being in my early 20s and just not really knowing what to do, but knowing I wanted to do something with God. I want to do something with God. But during this time, remember, we'll go back to the Brenda story. During this time, when Brenda reached out to me, I was very religious. And I kind of had a spiritual breakdown where I just kind of stopped talking to everyone kind of in my religious circle because I couldn't do it anymore. I'm like, this is not what God wants. In my head, I knew it. In my heart, I knew it. But I kept living that out. So I just cut off everyone and pretty much just stayed in my room for months, went to work, whatever. And during this time, I'm like, all right, God, I need to know if you're real. Because what I'm living right now, this isn't you. So I'm super hard-headed, like really. And the only way God's everywhere, right? We know that. I say this all the time. I'm just so hard-headed, I had to go all the way to China to find him. You know what I mean? The proverbial dig to China. I literally had to dig to China to figure out God was real. We were always like, hello, I'm here on Long Island. So I went to China, and it was amazing. It was beautiful. I got to work in orphanages with these beautiful kids. I'll never forget, I got to meet these people, women who got delivered from sex trafficking and just like on fire for the Lord. I got to meet some of the most beautiful people up and down. It was a beautiful time of life. But man, it was hard. Yo, I miss my mama bad. That's my mom. I missed her. I miss my dad. I miss my family. And I got this opportunity. We were only supposed to be gone for 2 months. And I got this chance to stay. It was literally the day before we were going to leave. And it's not just me. I'm with my classmates in missionary school. And it's the day before we're going to leave, and I get the opportunity to stay. And it was the hardest decision I ever made. God bless my mom. I must have added 8 years on her life. When I FaceTime her the morning of my flight where I'm supposed to come home, I'm like, hey, Ma, not going to be home for another 7 months. Love ya. And my mom is so strong because she could have reacted in a lot of ways, right? Get your butt home, boy. What are you talking about? He's been there long. But she didn't. She didn't, and that strength, man, my mom was so strong. So I'm going to be a missionary in China for more months. This is awesome. This is going to be great. And I'm so excited. So we get to the next day, and I'm going back, and one of my main things I'm going to do is teach English. Someone should laugh right now. I'm going to teach English in China. Yeah, real English, my English. So I'm walking back, and I feel good because, I did good. Like, I'm a missionary. This is so awesome. I'm doing this for you, Lord. I'm going to stay longer. I'm going to lose time with my family, my loved ones. All these opportunities I'm giving up for you, God. Man, you're going to bless me, aren't you? I'm walking home, and I decided to treat myself. So in the town square in China, where I was walking back through home, there was a little donut shop. Oh, man, they had some good donuts. And I was like, you know what? I deserve a couple donuts. I don't. But I was like, let me get a couple donuts. So I get a couple donuts. But I'm like, you know what? And all of a sudden I see McDonald's from afar. I said, donuts are good. But a donut with a bunch of, McFlurry with a bunch of donuts yammed in it? Oh, that'd be even better. Yeah, I was really getting my fat boy on that day. I was like, yeah, I deserve it. I'm a missionary for the Lord. I deserve a McFlurry with a bunch of donuts stuffed in it. So I'm yamming those donuts in. I'm like, oh, this is good. And I eat it up. It's like 11 in the morning. And I go home. I go to the apartment where we were staying. And all of a sudden, I start not feeling so good. Guys, I ate cat meatballs in China. I ate everything, okay? So last thing I'm thinking is I'm going to eat McDonald's, and it's going to be like, okay, it's going to be bad. It was bad. All of a sudden, without going into too much detail, obviously, but I start feeling like literally someone lit a fire in my stomach, like a fire. And I felt some pain. I had tummy aches, and I am a bit of a dramatic. I am Puerto Rican, but it was bad. It was bad. And I'm like, oh, this is hurting more. Oh, it's hurting more. And all of a sudden, it wasn't hurting anymore. It was like, am I going to die? Guys, again, not to be too graphic, but at one point I remember just being on the bed and like, I felt like I was giving labor or something like that. Nothing was going on. I want to make that clear. It was just like the pain. Weird image. I know you wanted that. But I'm in severe pain. And nothing's happening. I can't do anything. I can only feel the pain. Nothing's happening. And the pain's getting worse, and I'm sweating as I tend to do, and I'm sweating profusely. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm dying. This is it. God, really? You made me stay to die the next day? Like, is this for real? Like, I told you people you're good, and then you're going to kill me? Like, the next day, like, gotcha. Like, I'm happy. I'll be in heaven, I guess, but I miss my mama. Like, what is going on? So, I remember those moments before, and this is the biggest problem, right? Where I was in China, it wasn't worth going to the hospital. The hospitals were so dirty in the area I was in. They literally said to me, Domingo, if we bring you to the hospital, you're definitely going to die. What are you laughing at, you sickos? Don't laugh at my... Oh, it's funny. No, laugh. So I'm like, great, this is going to be great. And I'm in pain. I'm losing it. And all of a sudden, I go out. I think I died. And I thought about who I wouldn't see again, the people I wouldn't see again. And I was at peace before. But spoiler, I woke up. And God brought me back to life. I thought about my mom. I thought about my dad. And now looking 5 years later, I think about how deeper in love I got to fall in love with them and got to know them in a new part of my life. I think about Casey, not being able to ever meet the woman I love and the incredible family who has become my family. I think about this church. And I think about never getting the chance to be here and to meet you people and to fall so in love with people and to be able to be a second chance person, because the second chance God gave me brought me here. And I'm so grateful. I cannot think of a better life I could live right now. And it's not to mean everything's perfect. It's not. But it means that I see the blessings God's given me. I see the good things God has given me. And times might be hard, but if I just stay fixed on Jesus and the good things that he's given me, I won't lose it. This church, you people, are one of the greatest gifts of my life. And to be able to serve you and to love you guys and for you to love me back and believe in me has meant the world to me. And you're stuck with me. The band can come up now. I just really was so grateful when Roger said I got the opportunity to talk to you guys, especially about second chances. Second chances, they're my thing. They're all our thing, right? I don't know where you were. I don't know where you are. I don't know what you did last night. I don't even know what you did this morning. But I know this. God is ready, willing, and able to give you a second chance. It doesn't matter what you did. It doesn't matter what you did. It's what he did. And Jesus died on the cross for you so that you can receive a second chance and be freed from that stuff you don't even want anyway. He's got love for you. He's got wholeness for you. He's got life full of joy and peace and goodness for you. I love this house because in this house we do second chances. And we're full of a bunch of rowdy, excitable, second chance people. And don't matter what age you are, color, or creed. Genesis Church is a church filled with people who love, and they love a lot because they've been forgiven a lot. So if you're one of those people that know they need that today, it's here. Because God's here. You hear me? Yo, I love you guys. Thank you for listening to me.